Hello chess fans, today I want to show you guys an illustrative game from a recent tournament I played. So the tournament was a closed tournament, so there was a lot of strong players in it. Everyone was 2,000 plus. And in this game I was playing against a 2260, I think the 1 seed in the tournament. And it turned out to be a really interesting game. So I started off with e4, and my opponent went g6. So already I was kind of surprised. I know my opponent usually plays a Sicilian, so I hadn't really done any prep for this move. So I went d4, bishop g7, I went knight c3. And here my opponent went c6. So c6 is not really the usual line. Usually they play d6 and then, for example, the main line continues here and a6. This move is getting a lot of popularity recently. This is called the Tigers Modern. And here there's some really nice moves here. I think probably the most interesting move is this move h4. I think it's actually a really devious move. And the idea is that for h5, we go knight h3 and the knight just lives on g5. And really what black should do here is black really should take this, and I've had this actually over the board as black, and after takes, go knight f6. But I think you can understand here, white has the bishop pair, and why did this pawn go to a6? The pawn went to a6 to facilitate b5, bishop b7, but here we can't get that off. So yeah, this move h4 I think is really nasty. So instead of that, my opponent went for c6, and c6 comes with sort of a different idea. The idea is that depending on white's setup, you want to go d5 or d6. So for example, if white goes f4, you want to go for this move d5. And the reason is because now with this pawn moving forward, this bishop has less scope when this pawn becomes closed. So this bishop can never go to g5. And for example, after something like here, knight f3, we get to get rid of our bishop, and then the knight lives on f5 and then h4. And if you ever watch Hikaru's stream, he often has positions like this, and it's pretty positionally annoying. But f4 is not an unplayable move. It's just a different approach. So instead of that, I went for this move h3. And you might be thinking, okay, what's the point of h3? Is it not just a waste of a move? So now if they played like a6 or something, yeah, h3 is probably not the best move. But again, specifically the c6 move, I actually thought sometime, I spent like I think 4 minutes or something on this move h3. And the idea is that on d5, now I want to go e5, and there's never any bishop g4 because I wanted to go f4. But I don't want to allow this, and h5, I don't know. Now h3 makes a lot less sense. Because I've committed this pawn to f4 and I have some weaknesses. Maybe h4, knight here immediately. Okay, wait, they can go h4 immediately. Maybe knight h6 and then here gives me problems. So yeah, I don't want to do that immediately. But now that I go h3, if they go d5 now, I go e5 and I don't have to commit f4. There's no longer this weakness on this diagonal. I can go knight f3. I can go like bishop g5. I can develop my bishop. So it's a little bit more of a flexible move. So instead of that, this is definitely a line that you can play, but I think after e5 it's doing quite well. My opponent decided to switch their setup and go for d6, which I think is more consistent with their setup. And here, again, I don't want to play f4, and the reason why is because I thought e5. And this is what me and my opponent discussed after the game. Now, the only move that I really saw is that I'm pretty much going to lose no matter what, because this check is going to be nasty. If I go here, they just take here, and then if I take back, they have this check. Now, apparently, this is still a line after e5, with this ridiculous move takes here. And then after queen h4, you go king e2. And then here my opponent were discussing bishop g4, and here you just sack the whole rook. And apparently white is winning, even sacking the knight here after bishop e3. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous with bishop c5 coming, I guess. Or what's even the idea after queen h2? Okay, rook d1, yeah. And there's like no way to defend basically. So yeah, just really ridiculous. Ridiculous stuff. Yeah, so I didn't even calculate that. I kind of just saw e5 and stopped calculating. But yeah, just so you guys know now, this move f4 is playable, and here I think the line would go like knight d7, knight f3, b5 or something, bishop d3, and we kind of get an improved version of what I did in the game. So what I did in the game was I decided to go for this move bishop e3, and the idea is with bishop e3 is that now I can play f4 because I'm no longer scared of a queen check here. I can always go bishop f2. So yeah, here e5 is also still possible. But I think, yeah, wait, sorry, it's not possible because of this. Okay, so yeah, they went knight d7 preparing e5, and now I finally go f4 trying to stop e5. Now, apparently this f4 combined with bishop e3 is a little bit strange, admittedly, so maybe here I should switch plans and go for knight f3. Now, if they go for something similar like this, I think that d5 just gives me a lot of space, or maybe d takes here. I was just thinking takes here, though, and bishop c4. I just guess I have a lot of activity here, and queen d6. And then this position is apparently really good for white. I'm not entirely convinced, but okay, that could be true. But yeah, instead I went f4, and here my opponent went for knight f6, And yeah, now I get knight f3, and I never have to fear any knight g4 because, okay, my pawn's covering that. And yeah, already here, I think I've been out of theory. I think I've been out of theory since this move bishop e3. So I was already playing a new position. So I played knight f3, they went b5. And yeah, here I really missed my chance, I think. Now here, really, there should only be two moves that come to your head. The engine really likes this move a3 as well, but this is just not a human move. I don't think a3 makes a ton of sense. It kind of feels like a waste of a move. If they're going to go b5, bishop e7, and b4 anyways, like why am I putting a pawn on a3? So really, I was torn between bishop d3 and e5. I ended up going for the wrong one. Now e5, this was the initial thing I calculated. So here, takes, e6. This is a very common idea, attacking both here and here, removing this pawn from here, and now you go knight g5. And now what I couldn't if they just defend it, sometimes I can take here. So they should probably go queen a5, defending their pawn a little bit. And then if I go like c3, they can go like bishop f6. And I just couldn't, I got to this position, and I just can't see what to do. Like, what is my knight doing here? Is it going to have to go back to g5, which they can take, and a castle, and they're fully safe? So I ended up not playing this. And yeah, e6 is a very common idea. So that's why it's sort of played here, to blunt the bishop forever. So I ended up not going for that, but after takes, I also considered just playing like bishop d3. Also notice always here that if I take here queen a5, funnily enough, I think my opponent actually just completely missed this idea in the game. They told me they were planning to go rook b8, which is like a little bit strange after this. a6 here, rook takes b2, and yeah, actually I didn't see any of this, but maybe rook b8 is fine too. But okay, yeah, bishop d3, what should be played here, and apparently I just have a very big advantage with like castles, moves like a6. Now they have to defend it after I castle, something like queen e1, I don't know, like knight b6 looking to come in here, and after b3, like I'm positionally dominant after I go for here and f5, and I should be very, very, I mean, maybe I'm not winning, but I'm doing very, very well here. I was always wondering about like this move e6, like what if they do this? Like, where's my break? Apparently, I'm just much, much better. Like, my structure is just way, way better than theirs. And this is, like, close to winning. So, yeah, I really just completely underestimated this structure. It's apparently... So, one thing I know is that, for example, if they castle, this e5 move is... This structure is not that bad. And this is how the main line goes. But now with b5, a6, they have a lot less flexibility, apparently. Yeah, and here already queen b6 with some pressure is what they should do. So yeah, b5 immediately might not be the most accurate. So here I went bishop d3 instead, which is a little bit of a bad move. They went b4. Yeah, if they castle, we transpose. So they shouldn't castle. Here I went knight e2. They went here. And yeah, here I really thought that was a bad move. Here I really thought they should have gone c5. And then I thought there was this line that goes like takes. I thought here queen a5. And this is what I was... Yeah, okay, this is not necessarily a line, but it's a really common idea in this type of position. And yeah, this is what I was sort of expecting from my opponent. And yeah, here it's about equal. So yeah, they didn't go for that. They instead went for castles, which I think, okay, it's the only move played in the database, but I think it's a slight mistake after this move a3. I think this move a3 is very, very precise. And it's sort of stopping c5, because now if c5 I can just take here, and if they take back, I have this center, nice center. So that's my whole idea. So they went queen b6, and queen b6 is, I think, the first mistake by my opponent. And it's a really, actually, I think, an instructive mistake, because it comes with a flawed idea, and you're going to see why it comes with a flawed idea in a second. The idea is to take here and to force me to take with the pawn, in which case, like, okay, I castled here, and if I take here and I take with the pawn, they've sort of got exactly what they wanted. I had to remove my pawn from the center, and now this move a3 is sort of useless, so they can go for moves like e5, they can go for c5. They've sort of got what they want. But apparently here also I had this sacrifice, takes bishop d2, and if queen takes here, then I just have castles, queen b6, and apparently I have full compensation. Yeah, I didn't really fully calculate that, so I just castled. And then after b takes here, yeah, here is the point where I played, I think, a really good move. So take a few seconds to see if you can find it. Once I say like it's a really good move, you can probably understand it. So here, yeah, I'm really, I was lost between considering a few moves. So first move, obviously, you consider is takes here. I didn't like it because it sort of gives black exactly what they wanted. They traded the b pawn for the b pawn, making my center weaker. And also, like, I just kind of wasted a move with a3 then. Like, a3 is a useless move. So then I wanted to play b3 so that I could take here. Now the pawn on a7 is a weakness, but I really did not like this move e5. And I could not see what to do here. For example, rook takes here, takes, something like... Okay, I guess c5. Yeah, I was mainly looking at queen c7. But yeah, this position, like I just did not see any sort of advantage. Oh, c4 is the idea. And then, wow, oh, okay. Oh yeah, this is quite nice. But yeah, queen c7 even, like I just didn't really see what I'm doing here. I don't really see how to make any progress, though this is also, I guess, fine. But even a simple move like here takes, I'm worried about c5 at some point. Like, it didn't look that pleasant. So instead I play this move, rook takes a3. And this is the best move because I'm leaving the b pawn on pre. And the whole idea of the queen b6 move was that I had to address this b pawn. So when I don't have to address it, queen b6 must be a bad move, therefore. Okay, so here my opponent went for this move c5, which I think is the best move. Now, if you're wondering why they can't take here, the idea is rook b3, queen a2, and bishop d2. And now the queen has no escape squares. If they go here, what's the best move? Okay, yeah, maybe just queen b1 and then go here at some point. Let's see, like let's say they make a waiting move. Here, queen b2, oh yeah, okay. Rook a1, this is the plan. So they really can't go there. So what I thought they had to do was go for this move, rook b8, and after knight c3 here, they have this move. And now what was the line? What was the line? Yeah, it was like e5, I think. Knight e8, knight b5, queen d8, and then we win our pawn back at least. And we're also getting the bishop pair after we take here. So that was at least. But okay, there's some other funky lines here. Yeah, oh yeah, if bishop a6, there's this move knight here, attacking the queen, and the queen just can't do anything. If they go queen a5, then we have knight d5, attacking the queen again. If the queen goes anywhere, we pick up this, oh sorry, not there. If the queen goes anywhere, we pick up this pawn and pick up this pawn. So the queen probably has to go to like d8, in which case we can take, and then win this pawn, or sorry, win this piece. So there's a lot of lines here, and I think that white is coming on top in all of them, and I calculate all of them, and obviously when you play rook a3, the main move you calculate is here, and then my opponent played c5, which I thought was the best move. And yeah, here I think I miscalculated a little bit. Again, I don't think I need to actually defend this pawn. Here, just knight c3 is really simple, and if they take this pawn now, this is just like just complete queen trap. Queen has nowhere to go. So yeah, instead of that, I got scared of losing the pawn at this point, and I also wanted to sort of defend against. I wanted to play this move c3. Now, if I go c3 right away, then this pawn actually, like, I think is hanging. Like, there's no compensation here. So I play this move queen b1 with the idea that if he goes like bishop b7 or something, now I can go for c3. And then, okay. Apparently I should go for d5 here. But, oh yeah, because the pawn is pinned. Yeah, okay. Well, basically the idea was after c3, if he plays c4, then I have bishop c2. And also this pawn is defended. Because notice here that if I make a nonchalant move or something, like if I give him two moves, for example, he might have this move c4. And then after I take here, he takes here. And this is what I really do not want to allow. This is the common threat. Notice that the reason he has to go rook b8 is because if I do this, if he does this immediately, I have bishop d5 here. And then, oh, he has bishop b7, but I thought I had rook b3. Oh, okay, he can just sack the queen. But yeah, he doesn't want to sack the queen. Okay, so that's the general idea. So instead of that, I went queen b1. Now not queen c1, queen b1 to make sure that this pawn is adequately defended. They went queen c7. And yeah, here I went for c3. I finally got my solidifying move. Now I have a really nice center. They have no pressure, and my center has gone to live, and they have this backwards pawn on a7. So really nice position for me. Here they went for bishop b7, d5, and yeah, I think my opponent criticized d5 or something. Or no, they didn't criticize d5. Rook e8. Yeah, here I was really expecting this move c4, and after here I thought they were going to go knight c5, putting pressure here. And I hadn't actually fully calculated what I was going to do. I think my plan was to go here, and with the idea to go knight b5, also idea to prevent him from attacking the center with e6. And then yeah, here I really hadn't calculated further, but apparently this position is getting close to equal. But instead they played rook e8, which I was like really confused at, and I didn't really know what to do here. I'll be honest, in the game I just had no idea what I'm supposed to do in this position. I was like, I want to go e5, but if I want to go e5, this d5 pawn is weak, so let's go c4. But I didn't really see any other plan, so I went for c4, and apparently it's the best move. And here my opponent went for this move e6, and then and then here, yeah, here's the first point where I think I made what the engine says the best move, but I think it's a practical mistake because it came with a bad idea. Here I really should go for this move queen c1, and the idea is that eventually I'm going to play f5, so I want to have bishop h6. Also, my queen is often going to become under fire here, like with this pin on this b pawn. The queen generally, it probably wants to be on d2 here. And also I needed to defend the bishop. That's a really important thing, because here my opponent is threatening let's say I leave my bishop there, they can threaten takes, and then knight takes here, attacking the bishop. And then if I take, the rook takes the bishop. Now, I also considered this move bishop d2, but why does this not work? Because of takes. And if I take here, here's a ridiculous move I saw, knight takes d5. And yeah, it's just such a stupid move because it actually works. Here's c4, and then wherever I move my bishop, they have rook takes e2. And then if I go bishop e4, then they can go f5. And it's just so dumb that this works, but it just completely does work, and I just don't see anything. And then here they have bishop d5. So I really have no idea what I'm actually supposed to do here. So yeah, if I go bishop d2, I'm losing. And I want to go bishop d2, right? Because I want to put the bishop here, but yeah, they have this nasty tactic. Okay, so after that, I was like, okay, I can't go bishop d2 because they always have this tactic with c4, queen b6 ideas. So I have to go bishop f2. And why does this change things? Now, because if takes, like if takes here, takes, and like c4, here I can just go for like rook c1 or something. Or not rook c1. Oh yeah, rook c1. And then they don't have queen b6 check. Notice that if my bishop was on d2, they have queen b6 check attacking my king, and then they can take my bishop. So yeah, I had to get out of all of this, and I saw all of this, and then they played e5, and I hadn't even calculated this move for 1 second. I was only looking at takes here, and so then I was again mad. I was like, oh my god, I completely missed this move e5. Like, I didn't even look at it whatsoever, and here I ended up making a bad move. But yeah, take a few seconds to see if you can find the best move. It's extremely complicated, and I think if you can find this move, like, you have a lot of potential. It's a very, very good move, and it's a very, very difficult move as well. So yeah, here the move is, so pause the video, it's a really nice move. I highly recommend for any stronger players to take this as a challenge. F5. It's just like, wait, F5, like, that doesn't make any sense. Can't they just take? And if we take, they have E4, right? Yeah, so that's not the idea, obviously. The idea is now knight H4. Quite curious. If they take here, we take here. Something like takes, knight here, and apparently we're winning. After this, with knight F5, queen G3, bishop E3, our attack is just too strong. This bishop is too offside, and we're winning. Not to mention, if like bishop C8 preventing knight F5, we have knight G3 again coming into F5. So just really ridiculous stuff. So they shouldn't take. Instead, they should go F4, closing it down. And then here you would think, oh, we have to do something drastic. No, just play slow. Knight F5, say bishop C8, bishop H4, let's say knight F8, and just bring the pieces here. And now notice here that if takes, we have takes here, and this loses. So they have to take, go knight G6, and then apparently this position is just winning for us. So yeah, it's really, really, really hard to believe, but apparently this move F5 is a very sound sacrifice. So yeah, I didn't see that whatsoever. I didn't even consider F5 for 1 second. Like, obviously F5 just G takes F5, that ends your line, but I didn't even look at it. So here I went for this move bishop E3, coming back. And the idea is I just want to take here this way. Notice that if I play a useless move like king E1 here, I think they just have takes, and okay, I think immediately maybe they can win this. Oh, sorry, no, sorry, they can't win that. They can just go knight E5, attacking here and here, and they have this dark squared bind, and this bishop probably wants to trade itself off one day, so they have a nice position. But instead, not knight E4. Instead, here my opponent surprised me and went A6. And the idea is of A6 is, first off, this rook wants to move, so he's defending the pawn, and second off, in many lines, for example, if takes, I don't know, knight H2, bishop H7, here my opponent might have been worried about, like, if they go knight E5, do I have knight C3, looking for knight B5? Might be a consideration in some positions. But yeah, I think my opponent really should have gone for this. And after we were talking about this after the game, here, bishop takes here. And we thought the position was probably about equal, maybe better for black. We were only looking at this move G4, knight G7, queen C1. And then, yeah, it might be equal or might be slightly better for black. Definitely better than what my opponent did in the game. My opponent went for A6. Again, I really should just go F5, and now it's even better because the bishop, or maybe it's worse because now F4 comes slightly worse, but still playable. And yeah, here I just went all out. I went for G4. And it's because I didn't really see what to do. I really wanted to stop this idea of knight F5, and yeah, maybe here I should go knight G3 to stop that idea, keep more defense. But I also, if my opponent plays a useless move like, I don't know, H6 or something, F5, and then I'm completely winning now. This is just completely clear to me. I have this huge attack. These pieces are all very much poised to come into the attack, so this is just completely lost. So my opponent has to take now. I take back with the bishop. They went rook B8. Apparently here they should go H5. I don't really understand. I don't think either of us saw this. And now rook B8. Okay, it's not obvious. But instead they went rook b8. I went for knight g3, and the idea is, okay, now I want to go g5 and prevent knight h5, rook e7, and yeah, here I went for bishop g5. And the idea of bishop g5 was, okay, what does he want to do? So he kind of wants to go knight e5, right? But he can't go knight e5 right now because I take, and then he takes, and then now I have this connected pass pawn. So what does he want to do? He wants to go rook e7 with the idea to go knight e8. Like if I do nothing, he wants to go knight e8. And now if, okay, let's say I do nothing again, now he goes knight e5. And now he gets his knight to e5. And if I take, he can continue to have this blockade here. So that's his idea. So I want to prevent his idea, right? I want to prevent knight d5. So I went bishop g5. And here I provoked this move h6. But now h6 is kind of a weakness. I go bishop back to f4. And if he continues with knight e8 now, it might already start to become unpleasant after like here. What? Bishop d5? Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, he has bishop b2, yeah. So I have to, first defend against that, rook f2. And then, yeah, it might become difficult to defend this pawn. Notice that if, like, let's say they just waste a few moves here and then go king h7. Here, I always have this idea to go here, and then take this one. And if they take, even stuff like e5 comes into the picture, and I just get a really big attack. And, yeah, I can't remember the exact move order, but, yeah, there's some ideas like that. So instead, they went for bishop c8. Now eyeing up this pawn, so I have to defend it with rook h2. Now they went knight h7. And after queen c1, which is pretty much my only move, I really want to get out of this pin, and I also want to attack this h7 pawn. The h7 pawn is now indefensible. The only way to defend it is to go g5, but then I get knight f5. And I'm not even worried about the sack because I just win here. And then, yeah, I would just be completely winning there. So instead of that, they went knight e5, which just, I think my opponent was calculating that, oh, if I take here now, then they have takes here. And if I take here now, they have takes, and then takes here. They thought they had all these tactics, but yeah, I can just take here with the queen, and now I'm just simply up a pawn. Now, while usually you would think, oh, you're up a pawn, like you should win this game pretty easily, like if you just look at the position, it's like, it's pretty much impossible to win. Like they have this huge grip here. They have no weaknesses. This bishop is defending this weakness, and then my bishop is just stuck here, so I can't do anything. So my opponent went queen e7. I don't know what to do here, and I don't want my opponent to trap my queen possibly with g5 ideas. And then, yeah, maybe I was seeing ghosts here. g5 does not seem like a good move, but I was worried about like this, so I went for queen f4 with the idea that now if g5, like I can just go back and then knight h5, and then I get in first, so they can't go g5 anymore. So they went king g7, yeah, which is definitely the best move. I went bishop f1, just defending my h3 pawn in case of knight g5. They went rook b7. Here I went bishop g2, and I think after king g7 my opponent offered me a draw, and then after bishop g2 I didn't want to draw, but I just offered them a draw again. And then the reason for me doing this is because I don't really see how I make progress. So we can just look at a few things in the position. First off, I have this pawn on c4, and this pawn on c4 is really annoying because now I can't get my bishop to attack this weakness. Like, even honestly, without this pawn on c4, it might be a better position, almost. Like, okay, it's not a better position, but yeah, like if this pawn is on c3, I'm clearly completely winning because I can target this weakness, and also this pawn is just not in my way. But this pawn gets in my way, and now this knight also has ideas that maybe one day if the knight gets to e5, like the knight's just completely dominating. I have all these dark squared weaknesses. All my pawns are on light squares, and I just have no way to make progress. And yeah, see if you can guess the evaluation of the engine. It's not completely equal. But yeah, it's only +1 for white, which is like up a pawn. You would guess is +1. But yeah, I really just couldn't see any way to make progress. Here my opponent had, I think, 35 minutes, and I had like 8 or something also. So I would have to beat them in like a blitz game while they're playing a long time control game. So yeah, here I just ended up just being like, okay, we can draw. Here my opponent probably would have gone bishop or rook b8 or something. And then we can just look at the engine line here. I'm just clicking moves that the engine would play, just trying to see a plan. I think I remember the plan is these are just the engine moves. Yeah, eventually here I can sort of win the pawn. I have to sacrifice that pawn, but is it even enough to win is the question. And then yeah, here it is enough to win. And yeah, white is completely winning here. But yeah, again, those were all just engine moves. In an actual game, this would be very tough, especially pushing these pawns like that, and especially them not playing g5 ever. Like, they never want to play g5 for some reason. Like, if they get this, I don't know, like I do nothing, like they go here. Oh, I guess I get knight f5. Yeah, maybe it's not that bad. So maybe I prematurely offered the draw there, but yeah, I generally thought the position was very difficult after this. So it ended up being a draw. So yeah, that's in today's video, guys. If you liked the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, I really thought this game was the most interesting. There was just so many tactics. There were so many cool things about the game. And I think it was very, very hard to wrap my head around, especially in the game. I was like taking a lot of time. This was the last round of the day. Or no, this was the second last round of the day. So it made me very tired. And so yeah, that's in today's video, guys. If you leave a like, please leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.